Hey fam, Swatitu Pinik here. First and foremost, I want to thank you for joining me for another live stream. I appreciate your time, as always. Let's just make sure everything is working as it's supposed to. If anyone is there, I'd appreciate a hello. Whether it's Ethan or anyone else. All right, I'm glad you're here, buddy. All right, thank you, Ethan. So, I don't know if you caught the hints, but of course, in my other video, I'd said I couldn't say what we were going to do this week, but I had that. And of course, this is one of the member giveaway USB drives. I actually ordered one specially for one of the winners because they wanted USB-A to USB-C on both sides, which I'm happy to oblige to. So those are currently being shipped to me, and to Jesse. He had wanted one like the other person, so he wanted a coffee mug but wanted it with black all around, so I ordered that, and that's on the way to him right now as well. So member giveaways are going well. Let me just see. How is everyone doing tonight? Hi. I'm trying to say how to say your name. Apporationed. I'm not sure how to say it, but welcome. I think this is your first live stream that you've actually been on, or at least that you've posted. So definitely appreciate you coming on. Did you have any games that you wanted to see played tonight on any specific console? I'm always happy to do what I can if I already have it on my device. Like I say, during my videos, I always appreciate if you leave it in the videos beforehand so I can make sure I have it on my device like Ethan did. But of course, if I have it on my device already, I'm happy to oblige that as well. Let me just see here. Glad to hear you're doing well, Ethan. And yes, I was able to get your requested games. I had to look for the Street Fighter game that you'd asked for because I wasn't familiar with it. And apparently in Japan, it's known as a different game. So I got that game as well on there for us. All right, let's see. Have we got any new members? I'm not sure. I don't think we do, but let's just take a look. Oh, we do have at least one. Okay, and I see another one. Good, good. So before we get too deep into the woods, let me see if I can't quickly grab my Bluetooth keyboard, add them to the draw, see we can do the member giveaway this time. Now, we have done 3 draws since the original winner won, so they will be able to participate in this drawing as well, because as I said in my thing, you're qualified once every 3 drawings have passed, so that is okay. Let me see here. Wanted to wait to do this because I wanted to make sure to give any last minute stragglers a chance to sign up. All right. So we need to add Sean B or Sean S. Okay. Good. And then for those not familiar, I do giveaways every 1,000 subscriber giveaways, or 1,000 subscriber giveaways every 1,000 subscribers. So we'll be on the 4,000 or no wait, yeah, the 4,000 subscriber giveaway this week. And then next week I will not have a live stream, but I'll still do a wheel spin during the video. And I'll try to postpone that as long as I can. So I'll either record the video for next Wednesday, either Monday or Tuesday of next week. That'll be for the 5,000 subscribers. Now we're at 6,000. So the following week we'll be at 6,000 subscriber giveaway. So I do appreciate everyone, of course. All right, and then we have Ice Cream Buds. Already had Carlos, already had Felipe. I think Mike is on there. Let me double check. Yeah, Mike is on there. Okay, good. Okay, and then I have to re-add the original person. So we will add him back to the list. Good. Anyone else? Okay, those are all the people that are eligible. Because I'm going to be doing a special video for a device that I received today for the company Absolute. They asked me to make a video of my honest opinions of a telescopic controller. So I said, hey, I started off playing around with telescopic controllers before I started getting into handhelds. So I'd be happy to give that a try. So I'll be making a video about that next week. All right, so I have my wheel here. Okay, I'm going to shuffle everybody's names around. All right, so fair is fair. Okay, and then let us hide this. Okay, and then should be video or window capture. Let's see here. Settings. All right. Yes, I like that, like that. All right. So here's everyone that qualifies for the subscriber giveaway. It should be on the screen now. I can't see it for certain, but I assume that it's there. So if not, I apologize, but it looked like it was setting it up accordingly. So let's go ahead and give it a spin, find out who wins this giveaway. Oh, oh. All right, hey, it's Rogers. Now I've known Rogers since 2010. I taught him English actually when I lived in Chile, and then shortly before I moved from Canada to Thailand, Rogers moved to Canada. So, sadly, I wasn't able to, but I was just joking with him because he said he never wins a giveaway like this, and as you can see, completely fair. He won it fair and square. So we'll remove him for the next few spins at least. So congratulations, Rogers. Okay, let's go back to Droid OBS. Now, there we go. So Ethan or Apparitioned, you'll have to tell me if that was actually on screen or if for some reason that wasn't on screen. I apologize. But it looked like it was. It was just covering my one screen that I can actually see the comments on the live stream. So either way, though, happy Rogers was able to win. Of course, I want you all to be able to win, but the only way that can happen is more people to subscribe on the YouTube channel. Remember, the way to win is to subscribe to the YouTube channel and then subscribe to my blog, even though I'm not currently posting articles on my blog anymore because it became a bit much to try to maintain multiple articles per week, plus create videos every week, plus have a 22-month-old son and wife to spend time with. So I wanted to dedicate more time to the YouTube channel and to the family. So I'm not posting anything really on there. The only reason I have it set up this way is because I cannot privately message you on YouTube. And some people also have their subscriptions blocked on YouTube. So my subscriber count goes up on YouTube, but it doesn't tell me what their names are. It only shows me a small fraction of that. So what I ask you to do is to subscribe on the YouTube channel and then register on the blog. And never send out any type of marketing emails. Do not sell your information to anyone. Doesn't matter how much they offer me. Your information will not be shared with anyone. And that way, if you do win, the only time I would reach out to you is if you win. In this case, Rogers, I have his personal contact information, so I wouldn't be needing to reach out to him. But still, it's just a way to make sure that I have the people that are serious about my channel to give you the most opportunities to win. Obviously, I would rather have 2,000 names on that list, but sadly, only a few have signed up for the website. So please sign up on my website, pnix-handhelds.com. So just no apostrophes, of course. Let me just make that beautiful. There we go. So no apostrophes, just pnix, and then a hyphen, handhelds.com. and that gives you the chance to win. And what can you win? You can win a desk mat like I record on all of my videos. This is a real desk mat, and I will order you a desk mat, whatever size of desk mat you want. So obviously, you'd measure out your space and tell me, based on the measurements available, which one would work for you. You can choose a flash drive, as I mentioned. So this is just a USB-A flash drive with a wooden box. But like I say, the previous winner, she had requested a USB-A on one side, USB-C on the other side. So I ordered that specially for her. So she'll get that. And the first winner actually won this, or chose this desk mat, loves it. And two of the previous winners chose a coffee mug. And you can either choose an all black one or a white one like this, and then you can choose what color of handle you want on it. You can go with white, black, blue, red, whatever color handle you want. Or you can get a t-shirt that would have the Handheld logo, part of my logo, on your chest, and then the full thing that the desk mat is on your back. And you can choose what color and what size, keeping in mind that, of course, I'm ordering it from China, so it's China sizes. So if you wear a large in North America, you'd probably want to order a double XL to be safe. If you like baggier fitting shirts, if you like tighter fitting shirts, maybe an XL would work. But generally, they're 1 to 2 sizes different in Asia. So, but ship those to you, no cost to you whatsoever. Just to thank you for being a subscriber. So, there we do have it. All right. So we have some games to play today. Now, Ethan had made some requests, as I mentioned. You can comment during the live stream if you're here, and I'm happy to put in those games that you'd want to play. But preferably during any of my videos, just comment on it and say, in a future live stream, I would like to see X game. And if you want to say it for a specific, like a premium handheld, obviously PS3, the secret console that begins with an S by that company that starts with an N. So you want to see those games, as long as they're not IP by that company that owns, that starts with an N, I'm happy to do it. It's just that company can be kind of not so nice about people using their IP, even if it's on a console that they are no longer primarily focusing on, because they now have secret console 2. So it is what it is. We just have to be careful, and I try to be. So as I mentioned, we'll do the live stream today. On Friday, I will do a long-term review of the Trim UI brick hammer, as well as unboxing a new colorway for the Trim UI brick hammer as part of the process. And then Monday, I'll do the accessories and first impressions for this guy here. And then Friday will be the long-term review, with in between, instead of a live stream, I will do the absolute telescopic controller accessory video. Just the nice thing is, because Melon DS and Azahar have started supporting dual screen devices, so I'm going to break out my old faithful, my old daily driver here, and I'm going to test how good are those devices with a telescopic controller on my old Microsoft Surface Duo 2 with its red dragon skin. And I always loved having the contrasting Microsoft Windows buttons there. Yeah, so this used to be my daily driver, and I loved this device because it truly is a multitasking machine, much better than my foldable phone, as I've mentioned in previous videos, because you have 2 separate screens. And where people would make the mistake is they would try expanding out YouTube on both screens, and they're like, oh, I don't like it because there's a line in the middle. That's not the way it's meant to be. You're meant to, if you want to watch YouTube and do something else, put YouTube here and then browse the internet or whatever here. That works perfectly. And that way you can go full screen and full screen. Or just multitask and be able to have a browser here and your email here, for example, or photos and WhatsApp. You know, boom, boom, side by side. So it's meant to work like a dual screen monitor system. If you've ever used a dual monitor system, you know you don't span across both monitors. you span across one monitor full screen and the other one gets full screen or split up, but whatever way you want. So this is kind of the same way. This is what it's meant to be. So a lot of people misunderstood Microsoft's intent with this. But again, this was intended to be like a 2-screen laptop. So with Melon DS and Azahar, this has a, I believe, and Ethan, you can double check my memory because I'm getting older here. I believe that the Surface Duo 2 had a Snapdragon 888 in it. Can you double check that for me? But either way, it is more powerful, if memory serves me correctly, than the Retroid Pocket 5, which had an 865 in it. It still has 8 gigabytes of RAM in it, like the 865. So it should be more performant. But what kind of driver support does it have yet? I don't know. I'll have to play around with that over the weekend, along with, of course, playing with this device. But that will be the basis of the video for next Wednesday. So I apologize. I want to make sure to do it justice. Okay, perfect. I'm glad my memory serves me right. All right, so before we get started, I always like to say, I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. So today's drink is by the fine folks at Schweppes. Blood orange tube Tim, I don't know, but looks like a blood orange and a pomegranate to me. 0 sugar because I am keto. And of course, since I'm in Thailand, it also has Schweppes in Thai. Not that I can read it because I can't read Thai yet. But that's my drink for tonight. What is anybody else having something to drink? Water, Coke, Coke Zero? What are you having? Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so let's get started with Ethan's first request here. And then let me just, the nice thing about doing a live stream versus a recording is I can actively look at my screen and see if it's too bright. And in this case, it looks fairly good. I wish let me try to get rid of this to see if I can't make it look even better. Yeah, I think that looks all right. All right, looks bright enough, but might be able to make it a little bit better. So let's just try. Since it is full Android, there we go. I think that looks pretty good. All right, so no, he didn't request Star Fox 64. So let's back out of there. Now I know this is Street Fighter Alpha 3, which I originally thought is what Ethan was requesting, but that's not what he was requesting. He was requesting Ace 3, which I had to search and I found out is called something else in Japan. So that is what I've downloaded. It's still hard for you to see here. Let me see if I can't make it. It's still showing it. All right, I tried looking. It didn't have it. So I know it says Alpha 3, but whenever we load it, it won't say Alpha 3 because I made sure that that's not what we have here. All right. Now, the funny thing is some of my PS1 ROMs work beautifully and are clearly visible on ESDE and launch directly through. My mind's going completely blank right now for some reason. Coffee? What time is it where you are? I drink coffee at night because caffeine doesn't have much of an effect on me. But on RetroArch, there we go. Some of them load beautifully on RetroArch. Some don't, so I have the standalone. But as I was saying, Street Fighter 03 is the Japanese name for Street Fighter Ace 3, which is what Ethan requested. So we'll give that a go. And you can tell it's Japanese because the enter is the circle button rather than the X or the cross that North America uses. All right, so arcade mode. And it looks awfully similar to the other version that I had thought it was at first, Alpha 3. But I double checked and they're not the same game. So got to remember enter here. Ah, lunchtime in the UK. Nice. My wife got her bachelor's and master's degree in Leeds, but I haven't been to the UK yet. I want to. As a Commonwealth fella from Canada and Ethan's from Australia, we're, I guess, a Commonwealth stream tonight. But yeah, make sure you sign up for the website too, so you can qualify for all the future giveaways. Hopefully the channel starts growing again. Crazy, just what, a month ago when I started with the Thor videos, I had 250 subscribers. So hopefully they can get another growth spurt. Trying to remember here. Of course, not used to the Japanese controls either. Oh, sorry, I sometimes get a bit carried away there. Hey, I won my first one. Don't know how, but I did. I'll be honest, as a kid, I played more Mortal Kombat than I did Street Fighter games. What about you, whoever's watching? And again, Ethan, I do appreciate you being here with it being so late. What about whoever's watching? Were you more of a Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, or Street Fighter fighter for your fighting games? Again, I don't know how I won, but I won. So, and it's running at a pretty high clip actually. I have it, I believe, set to do the integer scaling, and everything looks really good. So, of course, and I do want to say this out loud, and I'll probably say this in every video about this, because of my mistake during the unboxing, the Mangmi Air X definitely does only come in the 4GB version. For some reason, I had stuck in my mind the version of the ANEO Pocket Air Mini that I've ordered, which was the 3GB version, to, in my mind, which has the 3GB. So I was saying 3GB or 4GB, and this one's the 4GB, but that's because I was thinking of the one I ordered. So the ANEO Pocket Air Mini comes in 2GB or 3GB, and I ordered the 3GB. So that's where I was getting stuck in my head. So I apologize about missaying it. And that's one thing about my unboxings, is my unboxings are designed to be, you know, off the cuff, true expressions of me taking it out of the box and talking to you about it as I play with it for the first time. So again, I apologize. All right, so, oops, accidentally launched it again. Now I do have it set up where I can exit out of RetroArch games by tapping the start and select button at the same time. Quick and easy to do. Oh, I did it again. Keep thinking because it was just a PlayStation or a Japanese ROM. My mind. See, so that's the one problem. There we go. Back, I say. So this one is truly Street Fighter Alpha 3. Again, looks quite similar, but is different. That's the wrong one. Back out. That's the one problem whenever I shouldn't have decompressed the games, because then it's hard to know which one you need to click on to launch the game. But as you can see, quick and easy to bounce out of if you load the wrong ROM. Music to my ears. I remember booting up my PlayStation back in Christmas 1998 for the first time. loading in my Metal Gear Solid disc that I had been reading about in PlayStation Magazine for months, to finally be able to play it and knowing that it was on a console that was mine was so awesome. Being the youngest of 4, I was finally alone in the house and I was the only one to play games. So now you can see this one, you can tell it's for North America because it has start or X instead of start or circle. Like I say, it looks quite similar. So you can tell that they used a lot of the same assets, but it is a different game. I double checked on it. It was EX3 was the North American version of the game Ethan had requested. But definitely utilizing some of the same assets, as you can tell. Trying to remember. Oh, that's right. We'll go ahead and exit out of it because it's the same idea. All right, so let me go back. Now, one of the things that's interesting about RetroArch is I was having trouble getting some of the emulators to work. So actually, let me just back out. All right, so I had to go into other settings, and I'm sorry about all the reflections. Other settings, alternative emulators. So for example, I tried Beetle PSX. Wasn't loading any game for me. Beetle PSX HW, I don't think I tried that one, but I did try PCSX Rearmed. Would not load anything for me. And then I tried Swan Station, and it did work for me. So don't be afraid to try out the various built-in emulators into RetroArch, because some will work. All right, that said, as I mentioned, some games just appear here that do not appear on the other one. So another one Ethan had requested that I don't believe is on ESDE is Mortal Kombat 2. So I did get the Japanese version of that. So let's go to my load state, the second game after winning my first one. On this one I do have, I believe, set to 1080p, upscaled to 1080p. Trying to remember how to do a lot of these moves myself. Oof. Oh, repel one. Oh. Oh, is he gonna finish me? Yep, he is. Oh, there we go. Lost my second round. That's right. Now I can't use start and select to end it like I can for the ones that are built into RetroArch, but still fun there. So MK2. And then of course I had to also, yeah, I know. Let's change disks. No, that's not what I wanted to go. Exit game. There we go. So one of the things I like to do for a speaker test is play Castlevania Symphony of the Night because it sounds really good. And honestly, the devices that it sounds best on are my AYN Odin 2 Portal, my AYN Thor, and my TrimUI Brick Hammer. But it sounds pretty good here, actually. So let's do a clean boot with DuckStation. And we can turn on our RGB. As you can see, I've actually swapped out my, actually take that down, but there we go. I've swapped out my sticks for higher profile sticks while it's loading. And I added a stick cap on top of it too to give it a rubbery grip. But these are the stick caps that I got from Sakura Retro Modding. They make really cool sticks. They seem a little tight fitting at first, but that's great so they don't slide off easily. But that's their case with a variety pack. All right, we'll just call myself no name. I don't want to turn up the music too much. It doesn't look like it. Oh, it looks like it might be picking up some of it, but I'm not going to play all the way through because it does take a bit of texting heaviness, but still pretty good. Now, one thing that, of course, because this is being a budget device under 100 US dollars, you do have the RGB lighting, but you can't do it on a per stick basis. It's all or nothing kind of thing. So, for example, on the AYN, I can turn off one of them and have the other one be green, and then turn on the other one and make it red. You know, you can make it more your own. Whereas this one, you have to choose a solid color or something. Like I have it on color rotation where it's rotating around changing color. So if you look at it, you can actually see how it's a slightly different tone changing. So there's that. But if you want to have a game that has some really good soundtrack to it, you could go a lot worse than here. And it's a pretty fun game to play too. You can see I use my stick rather than the D-pad, which some people would be like, well, that's why you should have the D-pad down there. But the funny thing is then I have the D-pad up here and I use the D-pad up here. So, I mean, the analog stick up here. So I understand where you're coming from, but sadly, my instinct is go to analog stick regardless of where it is. Oops. Ah. We've only been able to beat him on this little entry-level stage one time. Usually just don't have the patience. Yeah, there we go. Time number 2. Hey, Brain Beat. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I know it's late for you. I appreciate you jumping on. Let me see. It's hard to see whoever is here right now. Yes, this is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And I was just mentioning whenever I was loading it up, if you want to hear how good your audio is on an actual game, this is a great game for it. It has lovely audio. And of all my devices that I've tested, the AYN Odin 2 Portal, the AYN Thor, and the TrimUI Brick Hammer make this game sound the best. This is actually pretty good for also for another device that's under $100 for most people, unless you're buying the memory card that is branded by these guys as well. Then you'll probably spend a little bit more than $100. But for a device that's downward firing, they sound pretty good. I would have loved if they would have put the speakers up here. Don't get me wrong, absolutely. Always better to have them facing you rather than facing your palms, but they still sound pretty good. In this case, I got from the fine people over at AliExpress. I think it was like $5. Adds a really nice grippy texture down here. Not that the first one is bad, just makes it a little bit more ergonomic. Feels really good for a silicone grip. There you go. Symphony of the Night. So there's a great game for you. If you haven't tried it, I would definitely highly recommend it. It's a fun Castlevania game, which most of them are, let's be honest. All right, what else we got here? Did Mortal Kombat 2, did the Street Fighter game that Ethan had requested. The only really rhythm game that I've played most of my PlayStation life was Parappa the Rappa. You've got to punch, punch, kick, punch, punch, kick. So there is that. I'm trying to remember if Ethan had a third game requested. Let's take a look over here in my ESDE list. I know, oh, one was on the PSP. So PPSSPP. And that was Tekken 6. Apparently, Ethan was either in the mood for fighting games or was just happened to think of those whenever he was thinking of games. I didn't even know they had a Castlevania show on Netflix. Shows what I know. Okay, settings. Why are you not going away? So I currently have the settings set to Vulkan 2x PSP resolution. I do not have it trying to render every game at 60 hertz, but I believe this game defaults at 60. But I do have it set to full screen. Just so you can see what I have set up here. On-screen controls off. There we go. Continue. Tekken 6. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is what do you want to mostly play? Obviously, you get a smaller screen if you're playing PS2 and below, and the PSP is after that. Of course, it's widescreen. But so some people, that's why some people are leaning more towards the Aeneo Pocket Air Mini because it's a 4:3 aspect ratio screen, similar to the screen on the 4.7 series of devices by Anbernic, because 4.3 is much more retro, so it fills up the screen much more readily. So you can see, yes, I've already played this a bit here. We got PNIC already branded there. Of course, his real name is Paul, but we'll go with, I chose Paul because, well, PNIC. And no, I don't remember what the actual button combos are. So just kind of having fun. And before you joined Brain Beats, we did the member giveaway, and honestly, one of my former students from my time living in Chile won, even though he just joked that he never wins those types of things. I told him to have faith, and well, we did the spin live. I believe it was viewable, and either way, he won. So congratulations to Rogers. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but sticking at 60. Kind of hard to see the green there, but and I was mentioning as well earlier that, for example, I have PPSP because some games do not even appear on ESDE, so I can't play them on the PS1 emulators in RetroArch. We'll go ahead and exit out of this now that I've won this game. Won a fight here, so that's good. Exit to menu. Yes. All right. And then of course we can come over here. But yeah, so I was mentioning that I can't see them, so I have the standalone PPS or Duck Station for PS1 games that RetroArch does not see. And also some games just won't play on some of the emulators on ESDE being pulled by to RetroArch. So I showed how to quickly change your alternate emulators to be able to make it work. So that's how I was able to get some of the games to work, is changing the emulator. So apparently God of War is wanting to take its time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I love gaming so much is there are so many different genres that, like RPGs, uh, MMORPGs. I never got into those games, but I'm glad they're there because I want everyone to be able to have something they can enjoy. So to me, that is one of the enjoyable parts. And God of War is not wanting to load. It's just sitting on a black screen. So let's go back to ESDE. So you can see this is the newest build of ESDE because the previous build had Emulation Station Desktop Edition underneath the front end, but they have removed that as part of the newest build. That came out last week, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah, see, that's not even there. And like Mike Tyson Boxing isn't even on DuckStation, I don't believe. So, and of course, Metal Gear Solid, my first PlayStation game. Might as well launch it up. Okay, and then while that's loading, let me just take a look at my list here to see what other game we could play here. Oh, Resident Evil 2, Ethan requested too. So let me see if I can find it on. I put it on my device, but that doesn't mean it's going to play. Sadly, Vita and PS3 are definitely out of the realm of this. So that's not going to work. We'll also try some more PSP after this as well. Yeah, I've never paid for a Gamma membership. So while I received their email telling me that they released it for this, I don't have a Gamma membership. So, and I'm not going to download a bootleg copy out of respect to them. I think since they are actively working on it, they deserve the money of people and not pirates taking stuff away from them. Like say if they stopped developing for it, that's one thing, but they are actively working on Gamma, not just for this, but for lots of devices, and I appreciate that. So if you're going to use Gamma, go to their Patreon, support them, and then get a copy of it. And please don't share it with others because, again, there is a dedicated team working on Gamma, which if you're not familiar with Gamma, it is Android, but what they do is they strip out a lot of the unnecessary things from Android to make it work on devices like this that have 4 gigabytes of RAM or to work on other devices that are lower powered, such as my friendly vertical horizontal hybrid machine, the Magic X, what is that, 40 or 040. I got this from the same guy that I got my Trim UI case, if you remember my Trim UI brick hammer case. This Dilling guy, I love it. Flip it around. Now you have a protective case protecting 4 sides. Obviously not covering this, but the lip does protect it. So unless it pops out of it, you're still protecting this or you hit a pointy object. But when you flip it around this way, now you have a little bit of ergonomic grips. So it makes actually playing on this device even more enjoyable. Now this is definitely for Tate games and DS games because any other game, you only get like a 2-inch screen. But for those games, either the Tate that are vertical, you get a much bigger screen. And then obviously on DS, you split it to make it look nice for those DS games. But so those devices, this and the 040 use Android, but they have special versions of Gamma, as well as for other Anbernic devices that are lower powered devices that use Android. They strip out a lot of that unnecessary stuff that's included on this to make it more performance because you have less things eating into the resources. The 040, or what's bigger than what you thought? Anyways, I'll let you answer that. Well, we'll get back to this. Okay, so as per a request, I did try getting this. Now I have a lightweight Steam game called The Corridor that I tried my best, and while I was out, I downloaded it, and then it wants to download resources. Humble original. And it says it's downloading everything. It looks good. Sorry, my phone's camera zooms in and out, so you gain some visibility of the status bar, and then other times you don't. It just doesn't know what to do with only a handheld on the screen with the background. Oh, yeah, the 040, remember, has a 3:5 aspect ratio 4-inch screen. So it's going to be bigger than what a lot of people think. You know, I'm just looking at my wall of handhelds, which I have my Retroid Pocket 5 sitting next to my K56, sitting next to my G35, next to a handheld that I was going to start reviewing, and I actually recorded the unboxing, but that's been pushed back to somewhere in December or January because of all the devices that I'm receiving over the next 4 or 5 weeks. But my son loves it, and it's a good big screen device. It's definitely, even though it's another 7-inch display device, like the Portable Game Player 5, that because it was relatively cheap, unlike the Portable Game Player 5, it actually has an OCA laminated glass, tempered glass front. So the screen actually looks really good in comparison to the Portable Game Player 5. It looks like a Switch with blue on the left and red. Looks like Joy-Cons on the right, but feels perfectly fine. It almost has Vita style sticks, but they are clickable. So I mean, it's not the worst. It's just infuriating. They have a very watered down, stripped down version of RetroArch on the back end that you can't make any real modifications to. And for example, the enter button, even on PlayStation games that are North American games, is the A button or would be the circle button. So it's frustrating. I can't change that around. I tried renumbering the games because all the games have a number before them. And I worked with Claude and created a Python code, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. But then I put back in the memory card, hoping that everything would be renumbered, and it didn't do it as I wanted it for some reason. So it's a bit frustrating, but again, for someone that just wants a plug and play big screen device, it works well. And like I say, my son Dominic enjoys playing on it. So if you want to see that device, let me get his fingerprints off of here. Like I say, I did the unboxing, and then I got my Thor in, and then I got the Pocket DS in, and I got this in. But this is what I'm talking about here. Kind of funny, the X and the Y. About $50 US, 7-inch screen. Actually looks pretty good for what it is, and it actually has digital triggers and bumpers appropriately. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting device, but like I say, compared to the other devices, they take priority. So that's being pushed back. Okay, so let's see here. See, and then the corridor just crashed. Try it again just for giggles, because it's a lightweight game that I bought as a pack from Humble, part of their Movember special. Since it is still Movember, I decided to support the Movember movement and got some Steam games from them to support the Movember cause. Men's cancer definitely doesn't get the awareness it deserves because, well, men don't usually like to talk about that kind of stuff, which is sad. So I think Movember is a very important cause because hopefully it wakes up a lot of men to realize that talking about their health is important. Both physical and mental health is important for all people. You'll see it crashed again. So sadly, even the basic games like the Corridor from Steam, like it'll let me download any of them, but that's the thing, right, is it crashes. Now, one thing to keep in mind too about this is it comes with 64 gigabytes of internal storage. The micro SD card becomes super important if you want to try to do anything else. The reason for that is, for example, I put all of my ROMs on the micro SD card because if I want to download Horizon Chase from the Play Store, if I want to download any games from this and test them out, they all require being stored on the internal storage, whereas ROMs don't care where they're stored. So I store the games on the micro SD card so that way I can download other things, like from the Play Store, directly onto the internal storage, which again, 64 gigabytes is not much. I mean, Genshin Impact, if I tried putting that on here, one, I would probably have to turn down the resolution a bit, the quality a bit, but at the same time, that's like 40 gigabytes. I mean, this only starts with about 60 available, so there goes almost all of my internal storage. It's the light version I got from my Obtainium JSON. So you can see GameHub Lite. So that's one thing to go over. Definitely, just like I was mentioning for Gamma OS, ESDE is in active development. That's why there's a charge one time, about $6 US for ESDE. You go to their Patreon, subscribe, and then cancel it, and that automatically puts you on the list as long as you don't ask for a refund. And sure, you can get free versions of ESDE, not the newest version, but you can get free other versions on Android. Now, all the other versions, while they are under development, like Windows and Linux, that is 100% true. Those are free, but they charge for Android because their attention in development is on Android, so that Android is getting more updates than the other platforms. And I feel we should support them while they're in active development. Now, if it's something like Drastic for the DS, Drastic is no longer in development, so I don't see any harm in getting the free version of Drastic. Because it's not in development, but because these guys are actively doing it. And I don't know about you, but I want to be paid for my work, so I do that. You're very welcome. I'm glad I could test that for you at least. But as I was saying, so Obtainium is a free application. You just have to Google Obtainium APK, and then go back, download that, and then as part of it, you want to search for Obtainium JSON. Okay, so Obtainium APK, which is what, like if you're familiar with computers, how applications are normally .exe, .apk is what Android apps are. And then download the JSON. And then what you do is you come in here, Obtainium import, and like I say, just Google Obtainium JSON and download that. And then you're able to see, you can see that that's how it shows up on my side. Click on that, and what that does is that gives you all of your choices of standalone emulators that have no charge to them. Obviously, for something like Eden, for that secret console, I would not put on here because, well, it's just not powerful enough for that secret console. But DuckStation, by all means. Melon DS, PPSSPP. This is the free version. They have a paid version on the Google Play Store. So if you want to support them, but they also do have a free version on the Play Store. So I have no problem having the free version here. RetroArch, free everywhere. If you have a powerful enough device, RPCSX for PS3 emulation. So all of this, Vita for Vita emulation. Again, you need a powerful console for that, but they're available here because those are free. If you want to try different front ends, there's Daijisho and Pegasus. already out of the box here because those are free. Game Hub Lite, this is where I downloaded it from. Game Native, which also does Steam games, you can download here. The nice thing is then this acts like the Google Play Store. So it will tell you, if we can see in here, you can see not installed. So I haven't installed Game Native, which I was actually one of, I believe, the first creator to actually create a content on Game Native on YouTube, but that's all right. So Windlater, again, Artemis, Moonlight, if you want to do PC streaming. Turnip drivers. So turnip drivers, you can find out for your device what turnip driver is recommended for your device to get the most out of it. The nice thing is then you can just click on it from here, and this will take you to their GitHub page. And then you can go into their releases. Actually, let me go back here. Releases, 147. All right, so then you can scroll through and see all the different versions and see one that works best for your device, or you can see for like Adreno 710 and 720. So you can see which one, if you don't know, like say either Google it and you can find it at different places, or if you have a Discord for the particular device, like this device, usually somebody will have done various testing for you to know which one of the turnip drivers works best with that device. And then, like say, you can download that and incorporate that into different emulators. Not all emulators require drivers, but that just makes sure that you get an optimized experience. But it tells you the last time that the most recent one was updated, and then you can mark it as installed. Because it's not an actual app, it's just taking you where you can get it. But then, like I say, for all of these, it'll tell you when there's a new version available. So you can see I'm actually up to date on these. But you'd have a little download icon here to download an update. And you'll get a notification if you have notifications turned on your drop-down menu. So it's quite nice. Rather than having to go to their GitHubs individually and see if they've released an update, this will take care of it for you. Yeah, the 476H. Let's see here. Not that one. Or is it? I think this is it. Let's take a look. No, this is the 477M. All right. And what about this guy? Oh, nope. That's the RG slide. Ah. Oop, just dropped something. Here we go. That's the one. So here is the 476H. Just kind of as a size comparison, they're both RGs. They're both, one's a 4.7 inch. So you can see 4.7 inch. Let's just load up Castlevania again. Let's do load state. So we can kind of try to center it, see where it compares screen-wise, because I imagine that's why you want to see it. Ovige, but thanks for joining. I think that's the first time you've commented. You can see my screen protector on it, a little bit of lines on there. All right, so if we line it up, you can see here's where this one lines up versus this one is wider. So again, if you're using this for the PS2 and below era more than on Vita, or more than PSP rather, then you get the bigger screen on this. Yeah, definitely try out Obtainium. That way you know you are getting those and you can test out the different ones. But yeah, lining it up, definitely. This is bigger. Welcome and thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to subscribe to my website, penix-handhelds.com. So Penix with no hyphens, just penix-handhelds.com. And that'll qualify you for subscriber giveaways moving forward. We already did the subscriber giveaway for today. Rogers won that today. So if Rogers, you're watching this now, congrats. We'll get over that. Actually, if you look at this, these sticks were on this and I swapped the sticks. So you can see these are very low profile versus these are much higher profile sticks. No worries. Thanks for jumping on. Hope that Obtainium, you learned something new there. So if we look here, so, and then I would say it's about the same range of motion though. Now the SoC has been used in handhelds more for this, so I would venture to say this has probably been a bit more optimized, but as this gets out into the wild more, 662, even though it's an older SoC, it just hasn't been used in handhelds like this has been. This might catch up with it because of the Adreno drivers situation, but Anbernic does a good job of making sure that these devices are supported. Now, this has a little bit more of a clack, clack, clack. This is quieter. This gives you old school like Super Nintendo vibes. This is also quiet, just obviously smooth. I do like the differentiation between start and select versus right here. I've accidentally meant to push start and pushed more towards the center. And since with RetroArch, I have it set start select to exit out of the game, to quit the game, quit it out of games accidentally. Same here for the back and the home buttons. Now, obviously, thing to consider is this is 90 US dollars. And even right now, Black Friday, this is probably 50, 60, or 150 to $160. So if you're mainly playing these games, I can understand going a little bit more expensive for this. However, you know, me, I still love, even though it's a thick boy, still do love my RG slide. I wish it had, and they'll probably come out with a slide too, that has the stacked shoulder buttons rather than, I mean, not stacked, yeah, stacked, versus inline. This is inline, this is stacked. So they'll probably come out with a slide with stacked next year, because Anbernic loves to do iterative approaches. But there's just something about sliding up your screen to play, and then the sticks are nice and in, so it's more deliberate. And you're not going to accidentally press them because they're way out of the way from the face buttons and the D-pad. But this device came with a screen protector. This one, not so much, even though the prices are quite similar. The yeah, the R36H. Yeah, I mean, the batteries are quite good on both devices. You get 5-6 hours of battery life depending on what games you're playing. So not bad for a decently sized device. Just depends on what you want to do. So any game you want to see played on the device of the week? That, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, on Friday will not be the accessory video for this. That will be on Monday. On Friday, I'll do the long-term review of the TrimUI brick hammer and do an unboxing of one of their new colors. And then next Wednesday, I will not have a live stream either because I've partnered with Absolute to do one of their telescopic controllers that they're just releasing. So for me, one of the important things that I want to know is my old Microsoft Surface Duo 2. This is a dual screen device. Should look great on DS and 3DS games, and it's more than powerful enough with its Snapdragon 888 in this guy, so should work really well with this. So I want to test out their telescopic controller on this. So I'll be making a video on what I think of it and using this as its guinea pig. So I'll try to record images of me playing around on it, obviously, using my phone, since this is my old daily driver, and I'm recording today's live stream on my current daily driver. RE. That's the one I mentioned that it's on my device, but neither one of them are seeing it. Neither one. I can't see Resident Evil here. And when I load DuckStation, it doesn't see it. Which is strange because when I look, it says it's the supported. In both cases, on both of these, it says it's a supported file extension for that ROM. But for some reason, neither one of them show it, Ethan. I do not have a video on how to set up ESDE. Mainly because there are other content creators that have created fantastic guides that I don't think I could compete with. Russ from Retro Game Core is probably the best, and you can tell he used to write cookbooks because he's really good at being methodical and making things easy to follow. So it's hard for me to want to compete with his video. But ESDE, in its simplest terms, the way I set it up is because, again, I've already purchased it. So I download the APK for ESDE and I open it. And I tell it to create all the folders. And then I exit out of it without doing anything else. And then I go to Obtainium, or I go to the web and download Obtainium. And download Obtainium. And then I go back to Google search and do Obtainium JSON and download that. And then I do import Obtainium import, and it'll appear on your device as Obtainium emulate, like that. So then you click on that, you import it, and that gives you all of your standalone handheld emulate backends / frontends. So for example, Azahar, if you have a device that can support Azahar or Citra, MMJ, if you have a device that can support those. DuckStation, so you can get your DuckStation here for PS1. Again, don't use it even on this device, it's not powerful enough, but all of those are here. Melon DS is here. Nethra SX2 for PS2 here. PPSSPP is here. RetroArch is here. Download these, of course, on a device that can handle them. Like, sure, you can download RPCSX, which is PS3 emulation. You can, but this device is not going to be capable of handling it. So then what you do with that is you download those, and this will keep track of those. And anytime that there's not an update to these, just like the Play Store does for your Play Store apps, it checks and tells you, hey, there's an update available for DuckStation. There's an update for Melon DS. So then you can download those updates directly from here. So you know that those are kept up to date. And then if a game or if a console front end requires you to use, or back end requires you to have drivers, you can get your turnip drivers here. So first, of course, you'd probably want to Google and see. You might find it on the, for example, the Discord server for this device. There are people that talk about the drivers that work best for this, so you can find out which drivers work best for this and download those. And you just click into it, turnip, and then there's the link right here. So you click into that, as I showed earlier, and find the driver that you want. So you'd click on, not that one. Sorry, my bad. On releases, 147, and then scroll down and find the one that they talk about. Or if you're lazy, you can obviously also do a find on page and then type in the one you're looking for that they've told you that works best for your handheld. Okay, so you do that and then get everything all set up. What then I would do is I'd plug in my device and go to those folders that you created, and one of them is going to be for ROMs. So go in there and drag and drop from your computer onto here, or if you're using a micro SD card, which is what I'd recommend, if you can save it on here, that's what I would recommend. Save ESDE on here, save all of the files and everything on here, and then just drag and drop all of your ROMs. Also create a folder called BIOS, make sure your BIOS are there. and then, yeah, start up RetroArch, make sure everything is, all of your backend emulators in RetroArch are downloaded. You're good to go there. And then you can go back to ESDE and get in, and it'll find all of your games because you went into their ROMs folder. And then you can start scraping your box art. Depending on how many games you have, depends on how quickly it can be. It took me a few days to scrape the box art for this because I have 30,000 games on here. So if you're a nerd like me with a bunch of games, it's going to take some time. If you have a nice curated list of, say, 500 games, 1,000 games, you'll do those much quicker. So it just depends on how smart you are. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I say, I've only been going 6 months. My first video was the first time I had ever edited a video. So still learning every video. And if you're just joining now, which I think you are, at the beginning, I did acknowledge during my last unboxing that, yes, I made a mistake. I apologize. I said that this device had a 3 GB variant or a 4 GB variant. But again, part of my unboxing is they are 100% unscripted. I'm just going off of memory and trying out the device and letting you know what I think as soon as I turn it on and when I take it out of the box. The 3 GB variant that I was thinking of is a competing device made by Aeneo, the Aeneo Pocket Air Mini, that I have purchased or pre-ordered the 3 GB variant. So that had gotten stuck in my head, and I said this had a 3 GB variant. So I apologize. And I'll probably say that on every video because I can't guarantee, anyone that catches that on the first video would watch that subsequent video, and I want to make sure that they know I am sorry. I don't intend to give bad information, that I want to be as accurate as possible. And for my reviews, those are much more structured. I script those for a few hours, and I make sure the data is correct there. But again, on the unboxing, I'm just going off the cuff. So just like I do for these as well. So I want the live streams to be off the cuff as well, so we can have genuine interaction and you can ask questions. So I put that there's a Q&A and you can request games, and I'm happy to do that. Ethan, I'm sorry I can't get you RE2 PS1. It's on my, if I could show you, if I could connect this to the computer, but right now I'm using the USB-C port on my phone to make sure I have the best bandwidth possible rather than trying to create a hotspot connection for this. I would show you, but for example, it is there, and it says that it's a supported file extension. I don't know why. Any other games that we want to request or consoles, I'm happy to play those. All right, let's go to my old buddy here, ESDE. Now I can play God of War, but again, PS2 games, you're getting not such great resolution or great frame rate. Now I've seen some videos by other creators that have done testing for PS2, and they were able to get it, for example, to work with PS2 that were based on European ROMs, because while PS2 for the European market is using a different TV system than what they use in North America and Japan. North America and Japan, they used the NTSC platform that used 60 frames per second, whereas in Europe, they used what's called PAL. PAL had 50 frames per second, which this comes in handy because I used to be, back in the day, long ago, when the Xbox 360 and PS3 were coming out, I was customer service for Toshiba North America, so I had to know these things. And I remember having the discussion with people, what would win, PS3 or Xbox? And of course, that was uncomfortable because I had the feeling PlayStation would win since they were including Blu-rays and everything, versus Xbox had a separate add-on for the HD DVD drive. But of course, since I officially worked for Toshiba, and Toshiba and Microsoft were the biggest partners for the HD DVD alliance, I was supposed to say that I thought that the HD DVD would win. And of course, when a customer would answer, I would have to give some kind of vague, ambiguous answer because I refused to lie to a customer. So I'd tell them, unfortunately, you asked to speak to a supervisor. I'm a supervisor because at that time I was a supervisor, and I can't tell you who's going to win. We obviously believe HD DVD will win, but the future of technology is always very hard to predict. So unfortunately, we don't know for certain who's going to win. Uh, but yeah, so we've done a lot of fighting tonight. Let's see if I can't do some racing. And also, I mentioned that some of the RetroArch emulators just would not load PlayStation for me, even though they're PS1s. So I just tried. It's just trial and error. See what loads on your device. But if you're there, I'd always appreciate a hello. You don't have to if you don't want to, of course, but I'd appreciate it. It's always interesting to see. I remember almost every PlayStation release, they would always celebrate. And it has Ridge Racer. Who remembers that? Can't be the only nerd that remembers Sony celebrating the fact that their consoles had Ridge Racer for multiple generations. Yeah, let's go automatic transmission. May 1st, 1999. I was almost done with my first year of high school. I don't know. Let me know if you're watching. Were you a third person racer like me where you want to see the car? Or did you always love the first person perspective? Yeah, I always loved seeing the car, which is funny because obviously I drive. So strange that I didn't like the first person view. Just never worked for me the same way. Whoa, 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 whoa. Come on. Come on. Go with me. Oops. That drift didn't work as I had hoped. So whoever's watching, if I'm in third place, past the second place guy, what place will I be in? Of course, I've squandered my third place, but let's say I'm still in third place and then I pass second place. What place am I in? Ah! Went too wide and lost control. Should have let go of the gas. I don't think I'm going to qualify. That's right. But then start and select because it's RetroArch and out. That is one thing I would definitely recommend setting up. Is in RetroArch, set it up to be able to do that. So why don't we do that now? So RetroArch. Of course, I've changed it to look like a PlayStation 3. Okay, so then we go into Input, and then we go into Hotkeys. And then you want to scroll down and quit controller combo. Okay, and then you can choose any of the combos that you want. But obviously pressing start and select is much less common action to do, but you can choose other things. And by all means, if you feel better with down and select, if it'll focus. I don't know if my phone, well, come on phone. My phone doesn't want to focus at the moment. Come on phone. Why won't you focus? I don't know. There we go. If you want to be down and select, you can. You can do L2 and R2. But again, some games might require that. So that's where the start and select combo works the best. But again, if you really want to be elaborate, L1, R1, start and select, you can. Or pressing both sticks down at the same time, you can. So I do start and select. Which, as I mentioned, this is one of the reasons that I actually prefer the RG476H's layout, because there's actual spaces between the start and select. So you still have to be intentional to do it. Whereas I've accidentally meant to just push start, and my fat thumb accidentally hit select, and I exited out of the game. So an unintentional exit of the game is possible. Now, one game that I enjoyed playing, if you're like Ethan and you like fighting games, is SNK. I beat it in one setting, so it's not hard. But come on, focus here. It's hard to see it, but just below it's the same game. So SNK Gals Fighters. It's actually a pretty fun little fighter game. I lost one round. So if you're watching this, challenge. See if you can beat it without losing a single round. I lost it in one round, but only one round. Other than that, I beat the entire game. So almost lost a few other times, but I pulled off miraculous victories, and you can see I beat it in 16 minutes. So it was actually a lot of fun, even though it was only 16 minutes, from the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Let's try Panzer Dragoon, since we had the, I think this would be the right one. Let's see. Nope, that's not the right one. Unfortunately, there are many game files because I've extracted it out of its zipped file. Makes it harder to know which one you need to select. Come on, give me Panzer. Let me try the bottom one. Is it the bottom one? Maybe, but now it's not wanting to load. Okay. That's all right. So then, like say, what we can do is we can click into this and we can go other settings, other emulators, just like I did for the other one. Okay. Saturn. Beetle. Yaba Sunshiro is less intensive, generally speaking. So let's go ahead and go there. There we go. See? Easy. Just change out the emulator and then see which one works. Don't be afraid. But I figured it took me a while to be able to get Panzer Dragoon for someone that had requested it on the review video of my Heligali Action Pie. So my last live stream, I showed it on the Heligali Action Pie, and now I'll show it on this one for them. I don't know if they're still a subscriber or not. I hope they are. And if you're still watching this, let me know what game or console you'd like to see played. And if I have it on my system, I will. But you can see this is definitely more powerful than the Heligali Action Pie. Heligali Action Pie was a bit more stuttery, not as smooth as this is looking. The Saturn is a hard console to emulate because it had two discrete CPUs. I am horrible at this. I am not good at games that down goes up and up goes down. It always breaks my head. That is why I always have to change it. It always messes me up. Go the opposite way. And yes, I know I'm probably one of the only people, but it always breaks my head trying to remember because it goes against my instinct. All right, Ethan. Well, thanks for joining, buddy. Glad we could get some of the games that you requested in. I tried everything I could for RE2. I'm sorry, buddy. Hopefully the next device will be more friendly, but I'll keep working on it. So there's Panzer. Again, not that good. I'm not that good at it, but I wish I could mark it as a favorite. Jump to. Yeah, I wish I could say open only this. Might just re-download it and not extract it out to be that way. college slang. Ovi, if you're still watching, where are you from, if I may ask? And did you grow up playing any console? Discontinued. Okay. Everybody loves Contra, so that should be good. Of course, it wants to be a pain in the butt, so we'll X that. All right, let's see here. And so yeah, you'll see there's Mega Drive, and then Japanese Mega Drive, and then I also do have Genesis, which are the same hardware in 3 different locations. Genesis is North America, and Mega Drive Japan and Europe. The reason the US didn't get the Mega Drive, they got the Genesis, is somebody had already, for a game console, trademarked the name Mega Drive. So they came up with a different name, Genesis. Even though Genesis we usually think of as like the beginning of something, the genesis of the story. But this wasn't Sega's first console. They had the Master System before it. They also had the SG-1000 before it. And probably other ones too. And you can see Sega Mark III arcade cabinets. They were famous for their arcade cabinets. Like back in the day in the 90s, their arcade cabinets were graphically ahead of any console. Now that's, arcades, one, are new arcades are not really much of a thing, but 2, they can't compete with consoles or PCs. Same thing for Famicom. In North America, it was the Super Nintendo, and also in Europe, so I have 2 of them here. And then Famicom and Super Famicom was the Japanese name. So I have these separated out. So you can see this is the European one, because we have 90 minutes European prime goal. And then this is the North American version. So actually, now that I think of it, let us just do a UI swap here. I like to swap it out because I like to show different things here. Let's go to theme downloader. Let's see what we got. I like people to understand how customizable ESDE is. So let's see here. I've done cathode before. It's all right. Let's see here. But let's do cathode. Why not, right? It's kind of fun to see cathode as well. So now we're going to download it in real time. And again, feel free to ask questions if you're here live, whether you want to. Again, I'm sorry, I'm accidentally touching the stand holding my phone. But feel free to ask any questions, whether about the channel or games or devices. I'm happy to answer those. And as mentioned, this is a nice budget device. Again, the 5.5-inch screen is nice, but is it nice? Because again, most retro games outside of the PSP, most of what we consider retro are 4:3 aspect ratio. And as I showed earlier with the 476H, and of course it being held the truth for the RG Slide and the RG477M, this in 4.3 aspect ratio, so 99% of the games you'll be playing on this, unless you dedicate it to be a PSP only console, are bigger on those devices with their 4.7-inch 4:3 aspect ratio screen. So really depends on what you want. And that's something, yeah, you can do some widescreen hacks for PS2 and PS1. Some of them can work. But a lot of people are purists that say keep the game in the aspect ratio that it's native to. And if you're one of those people, like say the vast majority of the time, you only have like a 4.5-inch screen. I believe that's what a 5.5-inch screen is. You can Google a 5.5 16 by 9 inch screen. How big is it in 4 by 3 aspect ratio? I believe it's 4.5 if memory serves me correctly. So you're losing an inch, which makes it where those devices have an active effective area for the vast majority of games that you would be playing on any of them, because it has a 4 by 3 aspect ratio screen. So what's better? It depends on you. Some people don't mind that. Now, for something like the RP6 or the RP5 for that matter, and the RPG2, they have a 5.5-inch screen, absolutely. But they also have an OLED. So their black looks black. Whereas this, you have a black bezel, and then black becomes gray, so you can see it. Again, this is a fine IPS display. I still think the RG 4.7-inch screen that Ambernick made on those devices that I was just mentioning is a better IPS display than this. But again, the cheapest version of any of those devices you can get is $150, $160 versus this is now $90 US. So, you know, it's all a balancing act. Where do you want to save? Or what do you want to do? Do you want to save a little bit extra, have a larger 4.6-inch screen because you plan to play 99% of your games on 4x3, and you're okay with a little bit smaller screen when you do play the PSP games? Or do you want something that you can watch Netflix on it and watch new Netflix content on it? Looks good at 1080p, will look great on this. If you want to watch YouTube, again, will look great on this. Because most people record their content at the 16 by 9 aspect ratio, so it works well with big screen TVs, so it'll work well with this. So if that's your rationale, Netflix, YouTube, and Vita, or not Vita, but PSP only, or predominantly, with some widescreen hacks that you're okay with for PS2 and PS1, then this is a good device. Now PS2, yeah, you probably want to use the European PAL ROMs because they only captured at 50 frames per second or 25 frames per second, depending on the game, versus North American and Japanese are at 30 frames or 60 frames per second, depending on the game. Those extra frames make a big difference as far as rendering and all of that. So most of the footage that you see where they test out this console, they're using PAL versions because the frame rate is lower, so it's less demanding, so you get more out of it. And as you can see, this downloading is going to take a while because in my office, my computer has great Wi-Fi. This doesn't have the greatest of Wi-Fi in comparison because again, you're talking a $90 device versus my laptop was in US dollars about $4,000. I mean, I bought it 2 years ago. It had an RTX 4090 in it, 32 gigabytes of RAM. It has two screens, a 16-inch 16 by 10 screen and I think 14.2-inch, and I can't even remember what the aspect ratio of it is on the second screen. If you want to look it up, the Acer ROG Zephyrus Duo 2024, I think it was, model, or 2023 model, but it has 2 terabyte internal storage, RTX 4090, 32 gigabytes of RAM. Of course, the RTX 4090 has its own 16 gigabytes of video RAM. So it's a beast of a laptop, but it has great Wi-Fi. So I don't ever have any issues working from home using this as my device. But this, on the other hand, the Wi-Fi is not the fastest. But we just finished cathode, so let's take a look at cathode. So now if you're looking, I just want to kind of point this out if you're new to ESDE. So you see we have 13 variants. We have 37 color schemes. So we'll look at some of those. You can change the font size. There's 4 different font sizes, and there's 6 different aspect ratios supported. You can be rest assured 16 by 9 and 4:3, of course, would be some of those, but some of them are not. Obviously, for example, my Magic X 040 has a 5 by 3 aspect ratio, probably is not supported by this theme, but what do I know? Okay, so let's exit out of here. And the fan is kicked on a little bit. I don't know if you can hear the fan, but it's kicked on a bit. Sorry about all the reflections. If I turn off the lights, It's probably not going to look the best, but hey, let's give it a try. We can try different things. Doesn't look that bad, I guess. You can see more of the RGB that I have turned on. All right, so let's go over here, and then we go cathode, and we get carousels 3D box art and classic red. Let's just see what it looks like classic red. You can see why I try not to touch my desk while I'm recording. Makes it bounce around a bit. So now it's trying to generate everything for us. All right, there we go. Classic red. You can kind of see the outline of the crazy Jaguar controller. If you're not familiar, Google Jaguar controller. It's a crazy controller. So you can kind of see that red background, and the cathode, of course, is the TV. So that looks fine, but let's just try. Let's try a different color. Classic blue images. Let's try classic blue images. Check out another theme. Of course, it takes it a while whenever you have 30,000 ROMs on your micro SD card like I do. So that's why. So now you can see up here, it's blue instead of red. Still get the red haze a bit. And let's just go ahead and look in. For the games that I do have box arts for, you can see then you get kind of box arty. Can I get it to look at these games? And you can see what the device looked like if you're not familiar with what it looked like. The Wander Swan color. Definitely very interesting looking device. MSX1 and MSX2. If you're not familiar, those are Microsoft computers that also played games. So the first console that Microsoft made, or even first PC, wasn't a Surface. It was the MSX. And of course, these were consoles. So the MSX consoles were, or PCs, were the first ones that Metal Gear appeared on. So my favorite series is Metal Gear Solid. So Metal Gear appeared on the MSX line. Let's just try Carousel System Grids Games. And let's go from blue. So Cyber Neon, that sounds interesting, right? Let's try Cyber Neon. And if you weren't watching earlier, just to confirm, normally I will have a live stream every Wednesday, but this coming Wednesday, I was going to do another live stream for this device, but I received a device that I agreed to do a partnership with Absolute for their telescopic controller. So I'll be testing out their telescopic controller with my Surface Duo 2 Pro to test out DS and 3DS emulation on that with a telescopic controller. All right, let's take a look. Okay. Doesn't look entirely all that different, if you can tell. But let's go into a console. Let's go to Nintendo 64. Okay, now it looks very different. See if I can't get it to focus on this. You can see we get some video. We get a nice little synopsis of the game. What is the star rating? How many players can play? All of that. And then if we look over here, then we get our nice box art. Now, this is one of the things that most people, like myself, actually love about ESDE, is you get such a great level of customization. This is just one theme, and as you can tell, two very different looking operating systems or front-end experiences. So changing it, that's one of the fun things. You could change your theme and it changes the theme and the variant and color scheme every day, and you could probably have a different experience on your handheld for a couple months. I.e., if you kept it the same once a month, you could go a couple years without having the same theme and the same theme variant and color scheme as before. So it makes it fun, makes it feel like you have a different handheld. So if you're one of those guys that wants to feel like you have something different all the time, even though you're using Old Faithful, ESDE with its themes is a great way to go. But I love Artflix and Artbook are probably my two favorites. Let's do Artflix default immersive. You see, I can't choose a color scheme for this, but that's all right. So that's something, if you're new to the hobby, if you're new to emulation and you haven't used ESDE, again, pay for it because it's under active development by the team, and I appreciate that they're continuing to develop for it. Don't use a pirated copy of it. It's only a one-time $6 US price, and you can get everything taken care of there. For the life, they'll send you an update every time there's a new update to it. But like I say, now it's really cool. It kind of makes it feel like you have a completely different device. And the thing I like about this too is you can see how many games I have for it, and you can see a synopsis of not just the games, but also of the handheld. See this, the MSX came out in 1983, the year I was born in, just barely. My birthday is 2 days after Christmas, which is why my name is P-Nick. P, because in Thailand you add P in front of someone's name to show respect, call them big brother or big sister. Or if they're a lot older than you, then you would say Kun. So it'd be like Kun Nick to be like Uncle Nick, or Kun Joe for Auntie Joe. Aunt Joe. So P-Nick, big brother. That's kind of the idea is I'm like your big brother talking to you about handhelds, and then P-Nick's handhelds. So that's where the idea of my channel came from. But my name is Nick because, 2 days after Christmas, so jolly old Saint Nick. Sent his other name, St. Nicholas, or jolly old St. Nick, so my parents agreed to call me St. Nick. And yeah, that's actually intended. I wanted it to look kind of retro and broken a little bit, but yeah, so just barely. But like I say, I love this. And like I say, so you can set favorites, of course, if you want. See PC Engine, I have 196 games. I don't know if it'll actually show that, but yeah, you get a little synopsis about the console. If you're not that familiar with it, and then you can come in here, get the synopsis of the game, get your star rating, get your box art, all like you would like. I think that looks really, really cool. Let's go over to our next console here. Banjo-Kazooie, there we go. And then see if you have a video of it, then it plays in the back of this. So again, this is one of my favorites as well because I think it's really cool having the box art, having the video kind of be here on a big screen, the synopsis of the game, if you can't remember it, what is kind of the Rotten Tomatoes, if you're familiar with Rotten Tomatoes, the kind of industry ranking of the game, so 5 stars. So Banjo-Kazooie is one of the top ranked N64 games. But again, if you're not familiar with it, you can see what it looks like with some gameplay footage. I think that's really awesome. If you're watching, let me know. This device I've had it in my possession for about a month, but when I received it, I was actively reviewing the AYN Thor, and I already had in queue the Ayeneo Pocket DS. And since both of those devices got 2 weeks each, so about a week for the Thor remaining, and then 2 weeks for the Ayeneo, and then this is the first week of the actual being able to use it for a review device. So I've had it for about a month, but I haven't been using it for a month. But as I mentioned, it did take me a couple days to scrape all of the box art for this because I have about 30,000 games on here. So, and that's one thing is there are other front ends that scrape box art much quicker than ESDE is. But I think ESDE provides the best version of box art. I just wish they would give us other options to scrape than the two databases they currently use. So guys that create ESDE, if you're watching this, I would love for you to support the other one, the Steam Deck ones that Beacon also offers. I think that'd be fun. I know we'd only get probably box art or cover art for it, whether official or unofficial, but I would love to have that flexibility. Yeah, it's way too many games, honestly. But yeah, it is what it is. It does cause ESDE to take longer to load because it's trying to verify all of the games as well. So we got the Famicom disk system, which we never received the disk system in North America. And then I also have the Famicom, which is the NES, but in Japan, they called it the Family Computer or the Famicom. So for all of mine, I actually told it to give me the Japanese box art. If it wasn't, don't try to create new box art for North America, give me the official Japanese box art. And then of course, Game Boy Advance. Let's just go back here. Game Boy Advance. How many Game Boy Advance do I have? 1,508. So just a few, just a few Game Boy Advance games. It'd be a long time before I can play all of them, but Activision Anthology. Now, I did have as a kid, my dad found at a pawn shop an Atari 2600 with like 10 or 12 games. So we did have the Atari 2600 that Frogger and stuff like that was built onto it, as well as we had it in the original Nintendo. I can't remember if my dad bought that new or got it at a pawn shop as well, but I remember we had it, and I remember when Super Mario Brothers 3 was coming out, my older sisters were so pumped because they loved playing Super Mario Brothers 1 and they played Super Mario Brothers 2 and they saw you could have the raccoon suit and those types of things and they were just excited. They've probably never been excited for another game to come out since then because they've lost interest in video games, unlike me being the youngest. But yeah, Denise and Diana, if you watch this, I still remember you being excited about Super Mario Brothers 3 coming out. Let's do a little Arrow the Acrobat, Rascal Rival. I always jokingly tell my son Dominic that he's a little rascal, even though he's 22 months old. I don't think it's difficult to set up. It's easier than Beacon in some ways, and Beacon is easier in some ways. Because, for example, you load it the first time, and then it creates all the folders you need. And then you just drag and drop all of your games into your folders, your ROMs into the appropriate folders, and that makes it easy. It's just more time consuming because Beacon, from my understanding from the video I've seen of it, I haven't tried it yet, which is another one that's in active development. So that's why I don't have it, because I don't want to use a pirated version. If I'm going to buy it, I want to pay for it using my own money. But that said, this you can just tell it to scrape the box art of all 30 systems or whatever, how many ever systems you have, and all the games on it all at once. It's slow, but it's easy. And like I say, this always uses the back end of either RetroArch or of a standalone emulator. So that said, before I get going, so like I say, you need RetroArch or a standalone one, and then you need to choose which one you want. So you test it out. It's all pretty simple. But yeah, see, that wants to reload. It just takes a while if you have a bunch of ROMs. That's the only thing. All right, what's my name? My name is, oh, I forget Nintendo likes the A button. Let me go back. All right. P. Nick. sure, my name will be Peony. Why not? Yes, I'm sure I want to be Peony. Fine, 7-star platforms. All right. Gotta be careful because this is a very fast motion game whenever you actually get going. Oh, I missed it. Ah, ouch. I'm gonna hit attack. Don't hit the tacks. That's bad, big brother. Oh, I missed it. Trying to get to that platform. Oh, I missed it. Having fun though. Yeah, I can do that, of course. Ah. So there's a little bit of retro arch. Playing GBA, which of course is no problem for this device. All right, so nothing. Let's see if I can't get it to load. Had to turn down the resolution a bit, which it doesn't look as good. As you can see, kind of mush. I think it's at 0.75. Let's take a look. Graphics. 0.5. Half PS2 resolution. We can try it at let's try native just for giggles. You can tell it cleared up. Actually, let me see if I can. I think I can. If memory serves me right. Which sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's what happens when you get older. Show FPS. Yeah, let's take a look at the FPS. Can't see it too well. Okay, it's trying to do it at 6, trying to push to 60. Let's see if I can't turn that off. Again, it's been a while. Let's see here. We'll try to enable widescreen patches for interlacing. Okay, see if we can do that too. No, that's all right. There we go. Got PS2 widescreen hack to work. Again, some people love widescreen hacks, some people are against them, and that's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what is right or wrong because everyone is different in their preferences. The Aegean Sea. Now see, this is where at PS2 generation or PS2 resolution, the video will start to slow down. As you can see now, it's like I am walking in, running around in slow motion. So that's why I had it turned down. Let's just change that back. I don't know, let's try 0.75. Bilinear, it's fine, I guess. Texture preloading. See, I don't know if that's going to help, but we can try. Let's try texture preloading and see if that helps. Yeah, so it's faster. All right, it says it may reduce that, so let's just try then. Graphics. Cool then. So I'm getting about 45 frames per second at 0.75 PS2 resolution. So definitely doesn't look at its best, but is it playable? Mostly, yeah. Ah, definitely still isn't as good as it could be. That's because obviously PS2 is not this device's strong suit. But you can if you're willing to drop down the resolution a bit. Remember waiting to get this game when it came out too. I remember waiting for the PS2. I was supposed to get it launch day, but Walmart failed me. Like I say, I'm sticking around 30 frames per second. 28, 30-ish. So again, nothing great, and as you can see, it does still have its slowdowns. It says it's 30 frames per second, but it feels like it's slower than 30 frames per second. That's why I had it at 0.5. So I could have a smooth frame rate, but obviously then you get a mushy potato view. So while the RG476H can't play all of PS2 like some higher end devices, like its big brother, well, same size but more expensive brother, the 477M of Anbernic, it can play more. So there you go. There's a little PS2. Again, kind of fuzzy because we're at 0.75 resolution versus, and that would have only been a 480p. So yeah, you're definitely not pushing this, upscaling it to 1080p to match the resolution. So that's why, again, if your primary purpose for this is to play PSP, watch Netflix and YouTube, or PS1 with widescreen hacks, N64 with widescreen hacks, Dreamcast and below. It's not a bad device. If you want PS2 and solid upscaled PSP or PS2, if you want potential Vita, if you want more, you have to step out of the budget range, right? Remember, we're looking at a device that costs under $100 if you're buying the base device, unless you, of course, buy the micro SD card like I did. As you can see in my video, I purchased the 256 card because on their Discord server, they said it's their own branded, their own designed micro SD card, which I can confirm that I have put it into my computer and transferred ROMs to it, and it has had transfers up to 140 megabits per second. So it's not one of those cheap ones that you're only pushing like 50 megabits per second or under. It's actually a high-speed micro SD card that they include with it. So I appreciate that. Like I said, I chose 256 because that was the biggest, and honestly, because of this is only part of my ROM collection. This guy has, I wouldn't even say most of it. This guy includes probably a third of my ROM collection, and it has a 1 terabyte card that's completely full on it. But that's because I also have many more PS2 games on it. I have GameCube games on it. I have Wii games on it, Wii U games on it, Secret Console games on it. Whereas I didn't put them on this because, well, it's not capable of those games. So there is a little bit of God of War. Let's exit game. Okay. And if you're not familiar with it, if you want a narrative-based game that your actions truly matter on a retro console, PS2, North America, it was called Indigo Prophecy. In Europe, it was called Fahrenheit, which is such a drastically different name. But either one of them, they are the brainchild of David Cage, which on my last live stream, I commented about David Cage. In my humble opinion, the two best narrative non-RPG game creators, Hideo Kojima and David Cage. So if you've never played Indigo Prophecy, I would recommend playing Indigo Prophecy. And if you're familiar with its newer brothers, Heavy Rain, what is it, Two Souls, where Ellen, the actor formerly known as Ellen Page, now Ethan Page, and about robots and stuff like that. Those two games were created also by David Cage. So if you're familiar with those, this is kind of the precursor to those. And in all three of those games, your actions matter, where you play as multiple characters, right? And if one of the characters dies, then that branch of the story disappears. So when it would be time to play that character, obviously you jump to the next character that was supposed to be played. And let's say the two characters were supposed to have intersecting stories, but this character already died. Now their intersecting story is no longer there. So maybe, for example, this person was supposed to witness this person not killing person C over here, but they were the only witness. So person A got away. But now, because person B died, no one was there to watch what happened between person A and person C. So then person A gets in trouble for murder because there's no witness to show that he didn't do it. Most games don't have anything like that. So David Cage and Hideo Kojima are the best at storytelling. David Cage relies on QuickTime events, QTE, and makes it quite interesting. You know, you'll see, for example, press the triangle button, which in this case is the X button, or tap the X button, and you have to do it in time, or else you get run over by a car, or get caught doing something that you're not supposed to get caught doing, which you don't do if you push the button, like getting caught in a building there, for example. So he does a great job with QTE, and Hideo Kojima does a great job of telling stories through cutscenes. Now, of course, you get cutscenes with this as well, but you can see this has some like matrix elements involved in it. So it's a really well done story though. So PS2 Indigo Prophecy. If you've never tried it, try it. And if you have tried it, let me know. Either if you're here live or if you're not, but you're watching this later, let me know. What did you think of Indigo Prophecy? Or its bigger siblings, the Heavy Rain and the Two Souls. Detroit Two Souls, I believe it was. So one of the things I like about this game, because David Cage knew that he was creating something new. So I want to show you what this is like whenever you get going. We'll go like that. Oh, worth it. Okay, let's go new game. Tutorial. I think the tutorial is really awesome. And I don't recall ever seeing anything like this on a game before. So that's why I'm turning it up a bit. Hoping my audio will be picked up.
Hi, my name is David Cage. I'm the writer and director of Indigo Prophecy. I just thought there's a few things you should know before you get started.
Of course, it's washing out his face.
Friend Bob. You'll be controlling him while you're learning. Let's begin with something simple. Move toward the mark on the floor.
See, it actually gives you like a tutorial created by the creator where he's an actual character. And I think that's pretty cool. If I can walk, that helps. There we go. And then press X.
Perfect. Now you know how to move about. You're also going to have to be able to
observe. So David Cage, I hope you don't mind me using your voice for this if you're watching it. But I appreciate that you gave this to us. So see, he's showing you how to be able to play the game. I think that's really awesome.
You can also look around you and see exactly what you want to see.
So that is Indigo Prophecy. I'm not going to spoil it anymore because I want, if you haven't played it, I hope that you give this a try. Maybe I'll eventually create something like Tech Dweeb's Dusty Game Collection and maybe just call it Retro Vibes Station or whatever. But, you know, where we all play a game. And again, that's one of the reasons that right now the member giveaway is, or the subscriber giveaway. I always say member for some reason, but it's not really a member, but subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to my blog, phoenix-handhelds.com. And the reason for that is I can't message you directly on YouTube. And I want you to know if for any time in the future I ever get controlled by spamming bots where they're like, click here, you've won an iPad, it's me, Penic, and misspelling Penic. I want you to know that's never me. So to do that, I currently have my blog, and I was creating articles 3 to 5 times a week for it, plus creating videos, but doing it all by myself got a bit taxing. So on the website, I never sell your information to anyone. I do not have a newsletter. I would only reach out to you if you win an event, which subscriber giveaways started at the 100 subscriber mark, then the 500 subscriber mark, and then every 1,000 above that. So last week we did the 1,000 and 2,000 subscriber giveaway. This week we did the 3,000. Next week during the pre-recorded video that I'll release on Thursday or Wednesday will be the 4,000 subscriber giveaway. The following week on a live stream on the next actual handheld will be the 5,000, and the following week will be 6,000. And if we get to it by then, the following week would be 7,000, and on and on and on and on. So you just have to subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to YouTube or to my blog. Now, one thing I've also thought about is grandfathering those people on the blog, but I had created a forum hoping that we would be able to communicate about things, but I've come to realize that I think forums may be a bit dated. So I'm thinking about changing it to be a Discord server, creating a Discord server for my channel. And then obviously you sign up for the Discord. Hopefully you interact on the Discord server and make it a lively place where we can all help each other out. But obviously grandfather those people that originally subscribed on the blog. So let me know in the comments section, because I ran a poll and not many people replied to the poll, but do you have a preference? Do you want it to be subscribed to YouTube channel and to the blog, or subscribe to the YouTube channel and sign up for the Discord server? Let me know what works best for you. And like I say, if Discord works better, I'm happy to accommodate a Discord server. And hopefully we can build a vibrant community where, again, the reason I start my channel intros, hey fam, swati tuk kong crap, hey fam, hey family, because again, Phoenix, big brother, and swati tuk kong crap is hello everyone from a male's perspective in Thai, because in Thai, the way a male speaks is different than the way a woman speaks. And since I'm a male, of course, I end my sentence in crap. So swati tuk kong crap. So if you've ever seen that and you're curious, that's what I'm saying. And also in my descriptions, that's what's there as well, English and in Thai. But I want us to be like a big family where we are happy to help each other with everything so we can get the most out of our handhelds. And if I create a Discord server, do we want it to be a all-encompassing Discord server where we have channels on the server for each maker, and Bernick, for Mangmi, for Ayenio, for AYN, or do we just want one that we all just can talk about anything and everything? That's kind of the quandary that I'm at. I'm not sure which way to go. I can see the benefit of Discord, but I know some people don't use Discord. I could create it the same way, obviously have Discord or that and let you choose. The things you think of whenever you're trying to think of your channel. And I apologize about the little smacking of my lips there as I'm thinking. I just want to make it as good for you guys as possible, because the whole point of it is I'm like your big brother. So I'm helping you learn about handhelds and helping you along your journey in this hobby, whether you're new or you've been in it for a while. I want to be as inclusive as possible for everyone, which is why for my videos, for example, I explain SoC means system on a chip. Because you might not be all that tech savvy and you might not know system on a chip means that you have the old school CPU and the old school GPU onto one chip instead of a CPU chip and a GPU graphics processing chip separate. You have them mushed into one. So I try to explain those types of things during my reviews to be inclusive for everyone. But I can't tell if I'm alone here. Let me see if it shows that I'm alone. Concurrent viewers. Yeah, it looks like I might be alone. So I'm going to jump off here. I think we've done some good explanations for all potential viewers that were watching live. Remember, in any video, because in YouTube Studio, I can see comments on any video. So on any video, let me know what game you would like to see. For example, God of War, PlayStation 2. Make sure you include the console in case it was available on multiple consoles. Or Street Fighter Alpha 3, or Street Fighter 03, PS2, PS1, something like that, or Banjo-Kazooie, N64. So I can make sure I have those for the next live stream, and I'll play them regardless of what console I'm playing. Now, of course, this is a lower end device, so if you ask for a PS3 game, I'm not going to play it on a device like this that doesn't play PS3 at all. It's just not even a point of putting those games on this card. But if it's a console that can play PS3 or the next one that does support PS3, I'll do my best to play it, or at least to show you how it works, whether it works or not on that console at this point. So yeah, I'm still wrestling on what kind of score I'm going to give this next Friday for the short-term review. But again, for a retro device that is 16:9, primarily focused PSP and below, it's a good entry point into this handheld experience. Now, is it the best? No, of course not. In my opinion, other handhelds offer a better out-of-the-box experience if you're net new to this. For example, the Heligali Action Pi. The Heligali Action Pi has very similar ergonomics, granted on a smaller 4-inch screen, but it came preloaded with games out of the box, and it has Batocera, which has ESDE as its front end, and RetroArch as its back end, but on Linux. So you get a similar experience to this, just a bit more watered down, and you get games out of the boat. Similar price point, but just depends on what you want. You know, you're not going to get YouTube or Netflix running on this, but you will on this. So do you want a dedicated gaming handheld, or do you want a handheld that can do it all? You know, so that's why the SoC in the Heligali Action Pi may be weaker than the SoC built into this. But this is using full Android versus that's using a custom build of Linux, so it's much lighter weight. So it can make do with a lighter SoC. Anyhow, I've been rambling on now for about 2.5 hours. I have no idea how many people are still watching, but I do want to thank anyone and everyone that's still watching or watches it to this point eventually. So thank you. Let me know again what you guys want for the subscriber giveaway thresholds. It has to be at least 2 things. It has to, because I can't communicate, like say, with you on YouTube in a private direct message type of format, like I could with Discord or through my blog, because I have the live chat option on my blog that if you're not on, it'll send you an email. So with that said, I do want to end this here and now, but I do want to thank you for watching this. Yes, you. Because again, I know there are lots of YouTubers out there covering lots of things, handhelds, cooking, astrophysics, car reviews, all of which I love. But I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this small channel, helping me grow, because this is for you. And at the end of the day, thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to let you go. So until next time, this has been PNIC.